Everything defaulted perfectly, and I think we're going to be live here on YouTube in 1 second.
Okay.
All right, so we are live on YouTube, Judge. And let me, all right, I will bring in Todd and then Chris. And then I think Judge Hatfield is there as well.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Or I believe we have Judge Hatfield sideways.
Sorry.
Somehow, that's all right. Okay. Well, welcome to virtual Zoom hearing in the inquiry concerning a judge, Sean M.A. Hatfield, number 2348. Parties, announce your appearances, please.
The examiner appears by Todd Thompson.
Judge Hatfield appears by Zoom with counsel Chris Joseph.
Thank you. We have Denise Haas here. She is our court reporter for today. You see her name, not her video right now. We also have live stream YouTube, so that this is a public hearing, although we're here remotely by Zoom. It is a public hearing, and so it will be available live broadcast through YouTube, just on the Supreme Court's website, just for your information. Doug Shima is here, of course, with the Supreme Court. We also have Lieutenant Cooper here. Is it lieutenant or sergeant or something fancy?
It's okay.
He's part of our panel, of course, and I appreciate him being here. He is the vice chair. And I'm Brenda Cameron, the chair of our panel. And we're here, as I said, regarding Judge Hatfield. And this order for pre-hearing conference was filed April 5 and outlined the purpose of today's hearing. You all are well-versed in the nature of it. The lawyers here are well-versed in how this works, and I appreciate how well you work together. So I reviewed the petition and the answer and the issues that we'll need to identify. So counsel, I'll just ask you to jump in here. Have you discussed admissions, stipulations, deadlines, those things?
We have, Judge, and have probably stipulated to over 80% of the facts. We're quibbling a little bit on some language on the rest of them. I think we may be able to get almost all the way there on stipulation, but I suspect we're going to want to reserve the rights to call both the complainant and the respondent at the hearing. But I don't know that there would be any other witnesses, although respondent has identified some people who were connected with some photographs that were taken that he might want to call as witnesses.
Okay, just taking notes here. Mr. Joseph, you anticipate calling witnesses for the hearing?
So from my perspective, Mr. Thompson and I began attempting to reach comprehensive stipulations so that we would be able to avoid the need for witnesses if possible. The most recent exchange was putting the ball back in Mr. Thompson's court a few days ago, and I haven't heard back there. So essentially, if we're able to reach foundation for exhibits, and there's a real possibility that we don't need to call witnesses, but Mr. Thompson and I haven't made it far enough in the process. I can't tell you if I need additional witnesses because I'm not sure if we have the stipulations all there. I think I'm more optimistic than Mr. Thompson, but I think there's a possibility we won't need them because they're all pretty basic facts. But certainly we could have a 2-witness hearing that would be relatively short. If Mr. Thompson agrees to foundational stipulations and a couple others, then it certainly would be 2 at most.
Okay, and have you, it looks like the issues you have identified in the complaint and answer are fairly narrow, involving, I think, three different rules. Is that correct?
Yes, I think those are pretty well pinned down.
I agree.
And Jim's, who's Captain Cooper, actually. Captain, feel free to jump in if you have anything. Would just appreciate you're here, and feel free to jump in if you need anything or have questions. Okay, let's set a deadline for exchange of information. If that hasn't already been discussed by you two, let's discuss it now. What do you think for deadlines?
I've provided Mr. Thompson with proposed stipulations, essentially everything I have at this point. Can't think of anything I don't have.
You've identified some people, not by name, but by fact they were involved with taking photos, et cetera. So why don't we, I can give a witness list in a week. And then I would assume that Chris could reciprocate in a week.
Okay.
Sure.
So,
But one suggestion, actually, as I'm thinking out loud, my witness list, I mean, I could certainly put together a potential witness list, but it might be more constructive to have the stipulations nailed down first. So I put together an actual witness list of who whether or not I need folks or whether or not they're covered by the stipulation.
you all have nailed down your stipulations and understanding that you may have additional witnesses, but can you get that nailed down by next Friday, the 30th?
I think so.
I defer to Mr. Thompson on that.
Need additional time, Todd?
My only hesitation is I am taking my first trip out of state in 15 months next Friday, April 30th.
Okay, well, that's understandable. So tell me what you need, and I'll just set the date when it is.
Why don't we just go with the following Friday?
May 7th?
That's fine.
Let's make it May 10. So if you're gone that week, make it the following Monday.
Yeah, I'm back on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay, May 7 then. Let's do May 7 stipulations due, and then the witness list. Mr. Thompson, can you have your witness list to Mr. Joseph by May 21?
I certainly can.
Mr. Joseph, June 4. That'll give you a couple weeks after you receive Mr. Thompson's.
Sure.
Okay, are there any requests for discovery outstanding that we need to address?
There are not.
Don't believe so.
I know you don't know exactly how many witnesses you'll have, but let's talk about the duration of the trial and a hearing date, potential hearing date for the case.
I think this can easily be done in less than a day, but if we reserve a day, that would cover all scenarios.
I would agree.
Set aside a day, and there have been hearings, formal proceedings, hearings by Zoom, not with our panel, but with the other panel, or we could do this in person. I don't, are people allowed in the Justice Center yet?
Yeah, we actually had a judicial hearing 2 weeks ago in person at the Judicial Center.
The full panel was here, Judge.
Okay. Well, Mr. Joseph, what is your preference?
The hearing that we had 2 weeks ago was fine in person. If everybody's comfortable with that, that's probably easier if we're going to do witnesses and argument.
Cooper, what do you think? Do you think in person is
Yeah,
okay?
I think at this point, unless we get a bunch of objections from people at the last minute, I think in person should be fine.
Had one panel member recuse on our panel, but otherwise, I think everybody should be able to get here. We'll need to check their calendars, of course, with things opening up. I know, at least at our courthouse, things are getting really busy now that we're opening up. So for in-person hearings. So we'll check with them. Should we check potential dates here and then we can throw those out? Doug, what do you think? Choose some potential dates and throw out to our panel, or should we check with the panel first and then email the lawyers?
I think we usually check with the panel first, Judge, and then we try and get them ironed down, and then we force counsel into it.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a lot of folks to consider. So,
Right.
all right.
And Judge,
I'm glad this is on video now and we have a recording of that.
Hey, the facts don't lie, Todd. Judge, just a reminder that you guys will meet on, I think that is Friday, June 4th, if I'm right. So you guys meeting that date, and then so that would be your regularly scheduled meeting. And then you would, unfortunately, your next panel meeting wouldn't be until August. So, I mean, keep that in perspective, but I think the summers tend to be.
I'm sorry. Isn't just to point out, the June 4th meeting is a joint meeting, right, with both panels?
Yes, right. You'll have it. Usually what we do is we have the joint meeting first, I believe. And then right after that, you guys have your panel meeting.
Right.
That's typically how we've done it. And so depending on whether you wanted to, and obviously we're going to talk a little bit about this, but if you wanted to, you guys will be together on the 4th already. That's all I'm saying. So that's a typical date. I don't know if that changes your schedule at all or how you wanted to run things, but otherwise we'd probably have to schedule, we'd have to go to schedules, but other than that, you guys are already scheduled either for the joint meeting and for your panel meeting on the 4th. So that's certainly something to consider.
Okay.
If we want to do the hearing on June 4, I think Todd and I could certainly expedite the exhibit and witness list dates. Those are a lot of time built in those that we probably won't need after we get stipulations nailed down.
Well, if your stipulations are due May 7 and then the witness list, Todd, let's go back to that because
make it the same day.
Make it the same day. Okay.
Same day.
May 7th. And then
Chris, the 14th.
Sure.
okay. And then if we are able to, if the panel's able to stay, some of them will travel from further away than I will, but June 4, would that date work?
I say yes, but I should look. Works for me.
I should be able to make it work. Yes.
Well, thanks for pointing that out, Doug. I appreciate it. And
that's fine. There will be some logistics of how we handle that. If we're going to have the joint meeting, we'll have to think that in the schedule, whether you guys want to start in the morning or start in the afternoon, one way or the other. And then all I'm saying is if you do need a full day, maybe that wasn't the best suggestion, to have it on, on the joint meeting day, but.
Right.
I don't think there's any way it'll take a full day. Or even a full half a day.
I would tend to agree, assuming the stipulations work out as I hope. But they're not done, so it's hard to say at this point.
Well, we'll run it by our panel. I hate to, rush anybody if I don't know what our agenda will look like exactly. Are we thinking that will be in person, Doug, the joint meeting?
It'll be whatever you want. It can be, like I said, we can certainly have it here now under a soft close of what we have in the Judicial Center. And so we can certainly have that meeting here. If you guys want to meet in person, we can bring the rest of the panel in by Zoom. There are a myriad of options that we could certainly do it. So I don't know if you guys want to set this in at 9 or potentially at this time, set it for 9 and then we'll deal with the joint meeting, maybe starting in the afternoon or something like that. That would give you the full morning, or I hate to box you in, but at the same time, there is the joint meeting to worry about. Sorry about that.
Right. Well, and our panel does come from all over Salina, and it's a drive for them. And I don't want to rush anybody, the joint meeting or panel. So we'll talk about it. So get an email out right away to our panel. Jim, any thoughts?
No, I mean, we could even offer up, to minimize logistical stuff on the panel. I mean, we could even offer up, as Doug said, that we could do it hybrid where, not everybody has to come in person unless they're dealing with the hearing. They could just stay home and Zoom in for the panel hearing. So.
All right. Well, keep June 4 on your calendars as a strong potential. And then Doug or Michelle will reach out. I'm sure Michelle will keep us on track and get everybody in the loop here. So keep that in mind. Are there other issues we need to take up this morning?
I cannot think of any.
Yeah, in the event that, a couple of things. Can we put exhibit lists with the same dates as the witness lists? You okay with that, Chris?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got our May 7th date on stipulated facts. In the event there needs to be any discovery, I would like to have a deadline of, say, May 21.
I think that sounds reasonable. What do you
And
think,
then-
Mr. Joseph? Mr. Joseph, you
That's
okay
fine.
with that?
Yeah, I really don't anticipate that we'd need any discovery, but if we do, that's certainly fine.
We'd just be talking about a short Zoom depo possibly. And then we usually submit a final pre-hearing order draft, which if we were going to do a June 4 hearing, we could set that date at a week after close of discovery of May 28.
Might make sense if we're doing one to tie it to when the hearing is set and make it 3 weeks before whenever the hearing is set or something like that. But if it's June 4, you're right, it would have to be not 3 weeks before.
Not 3 weeks. I can do it the week before if you want, May 21. Same day as close of discovery.
It's fine.
Okay. And then I really don't think subpoenas are going to be an issue in this case. But Michelle always likes us to have a deadline set for requesting subpoenas. So I'd probably make that May 21 also.
Okay. That sounds reasonable.
And now I'll leave you alone. I'm done.
Well, I'm glad you brought those things up because we do need that draft, and May 21 sounds reasonable. So,
Judge, do you,
anything-
Todd, I think you've usually done the pre-hearing order.
Yes,
And if you would do that again,
I
Judge,
will.
that would be great.
okay. Is there anything else anybody has?
I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you all. I appreciate it. And we will see you back probably June 4. If you need anything before then, I know Michelle will reach out to all of us. Jim, do you have anything else? All right.
Jim, you need to get a